So, John, I suppose it's fair enough to raise these matters. I mean, there are interesting, important issues concerning all this creeping and tyre kicking.
There are, but I think for a regulator it's a very risky strategy what he's doing. He's really putting his head up when a lot of people can't see the problems he's talking about. And I think a lot of people just think he's a regulator who wants to be seen to be doing something. He said it himself in that interview that, you know, that he wants to be... If a problem happens, at least I've raised it. And I think that's all he's trying to do is cover his own backside. That's sort of... The most negative view I could put on it, and also he's being like he raised continuous disclosure ahead of a High Court decision in the Fortescue case, which is potentially the most dramatic change we're going to get to continuous disclosure laws, because if Andrew Forrest wins that case, then the test moves from a subjective or to a subjective one to an objective one now, which will mean the whole law needs to be written all over again. So what's the head of ASIC now raising the need for reform now when we don't really know where the reform's going to head?
As he said, he's responding to the media. He's going to be very busy if he keeps doing that.
Exactly, that's right. Exactly. You're right.
But where do you now land on the David Jones situation, John? You were very critical of Bob Savage.
Where I land and where I'm also critical of Greg Medcraft is that he's raised stockbrokers, lawyers, rating agencies, corporate boards as being the gatekeepers out there, and he's not giving the boards a chance. Continuous disclosure, not continuous disclosure in that case, was clearly the board made a bad judgment. They should have ignored the nonsense when the rumours came out, said, well, we don't know about it, or we can suspend the stock. They had a whole lot of alternate remedies, and they just blew up the whole situation out of nothing.
No, should they have shut up? Or should David Jones have shut up or suspended the stock? What should they?
Well, I think they should have shut up originally, and then if the market was looking distorted, then they should have suspended the stock.
Yeah. But they couldn't, because if it came out that they'd had a bid approach and they didn't say anything about it, they would have been just as much hot water.
Yeah, well, how do you feel about this, Giselle, as an investor in these companies?
Yeah, and really it's looking after our kind of investors, which are private investors, against the institutional style investor. And what worried me most about what he said is we will keep reacting to things as they arise. I would have thought a regulator needs to be ahead of the curve. You'd want them to be anticipating these things in advance, and there's a whole series of things, and rather think about it that way.
Well, I think that's what he thinks he's doing now.
But he's not. He's actually reacting to things as they occur. You wonder what brought about the most recent one.
Well, the recent one being the suggestion that Gina Rinehart's going to do it to Fairfax, and that James Packer's going to do it to
So suddenly, now we're
Echo.
going to change the law.
So do we think they're actually going to do that?
He's joining in the billionaire bashing, is he? Is that what he's up to?
Well, I think you're partly right. I think he's trying to use... Graham Samuel did this when he was ACCC chairman. He saw Wayne Swan bashing the banks and he thought, great, here's my chance to get price signalling rules in the competition laws. And unfortunately, Wayne Swan only took part of the advice and didn't take the whole advice. And it was a disaster.
Well, but do we think that Gina Rinehart is actually going to... She's sold shares, not buying them. I mean, is she ever going to come back and...
Oh, but she sold them in order to get around one of Roger Corbett's objections, was their insurance issue, which I think I mentioned in the last week's show.
No, but I agree with Greg that the laws are outdated and have no real meaning, but the only time that it's gone wrong was Kerry Stokes and Western Australian newspapers and Channel 7. In both cases, the shareholders of the companies told the board, we're not going to support you. Shareholders spoke and the board backed down, end of story. So I don't see a problem there.